Concord Cultural District Committee meeting, monthly meeting. And we have a special guest, Mary, so we'll do some intros after we do our first order of business, which is to approve the meeting minutes. Actually, you know what? I think because we're on Zoom, I have to do a verbal head count, don't I, Mimi?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Sue Gladstone, let's say here.
You're approved. Or you're head counting, you're not
I'm
approving.
head counting Sue Beck
Here.
Bubba.
and Chris Randall and Maureen Golden. Okay. And we have guests, just for your notes, Sue, actually you can see them. So Mimi, Mary Hartman, Ellen Bogosian, and Xana Noe. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to approving our meeting minutes from October 7th. Hopefully everyone had a chance to do a quick cruise through those. Any corrections, concerns before we post them to the public website?
Nope,
Do we
all
have,
good.
do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Sue?
Oh, I don't think I can do that because I did the minutes. I can't do
Okay,
that.
I move to approve the
Okay, Chris.
minutes.
Okay,
I second it.
great. We have
Who
to do
said that?
verbal approval. So I approve. Sue Gladstone already did. Sue Beck, do you approve?
Approve.
Okay, and Chris motioned already, and Maureen?
Mhm.
All right. It is unanimous. All right, on to Mary. So I think all of you are aware that all of the committees in town have a select board liaison. So Mary is our select board liaison. And I remember the very first year, Mary, that I was on the committee, you came to one of our meetings. I thought, oh, that's such a nice to have that, so nice to have that connection. So I thought it'd be really helpful for you to come back and just reacquaint yourself with people who might be newer to the board. Share a little bit about what your role as liaison means and how we can mutually support each other. And anything else you want to share?
Okay, thank you. What I did this afternoon to prep for tonight's meeting is I read the charge, which is really the documentation that lists what the select board expects from every committee and every board in town. So I took a quick read, and I took away two things. One is to keep the West Concord Village vibrant through art and culture, and to look for funding opportunities. And I would say, based on just my own experience in the village and what I hear from my neighbors, that I think you're doing a great job as far as keeping West Concord vibrant through art and culture. It's just a great place. I mean, I think everybody in town thinks that West Concord's the cool place. The center is kind of like the historical place, which has got its values, but West Concord is really a little bit edgier. And I think a lot of people really enjoy that. The art loop was great. I got a lot of comments about that.
Oh, great.
People really like that, and the murals have always been a big, you know, event. So I think you're doing your job. And to excuse myself that I haven't been here, I probably liaise with maybe 12 formal boards, and I have to spend my time on boards that need help for one reason or another. They're facing some challenge or some controversy or whatever. And this committee has always been one I thought worked really well, and didn't need a lot of hand holding. So, but I'm glad that Sue invited me tonight, because I do want to let you know that I think you're doing a great job. Funding, I guess I need to hear more from you as far as, are you feeling any pinches around funding? Because the state budget now is doing so much backfilling for the federal money that's being taken away. So there's a little risk there, and we can maybe talk about that later. But to answer your second question, Sue, like, what is the role? What is my role? My role is a few things. Number one, represent West Concord's cultural activities in broader audiences. So, for example, we're talking a lot right now about the MCI development. And one of the things that comes up is housing and what kind of housing and what kind of commercial development, if any. And I just want to assure you that the thought of keeping West Concord Village vibrant is definitely part of those conversations. Over in Maynard, you might know that they put in Maynard Crossing, a big, huge development, commercial development over there on Piper Road, I think. And downtown Maynard has kind of suffered because of that. And we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I wanted to reassure you that we talk about that often. The other thing that I can do for you is, again, if the charge that we wrote, to kind of get agreement on what your work would be isn't working for you anymore and you want to make changes, go through me, because I would be the person that would bring it to the select board and ask to make any edits. Maybe the number of members should be smaller, bigger. Maybe you want to emphasize different activities now. I mean, things change. And I think the last time we looked at this charge was, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. So you can think about that. This isn't an assignment, but if you think that, you'd like to have a different focus, let me know and we'll write one together and I can bring it to the select board and ask for their approval. So I guess that's really all I have to say, which is, in summary, I think you're doing a great job. I'm concerned a little bit about funding. The voice of the village is definitely being heard when we're talking about the MCI development. And so I'd like to hear from you. What are you thinking about funding in the future? Have you talked about that at all, or what do you see?
So I'd say, Mimi, you're probably the best positioned if there's an update on the Mass Cultural the MCC funding that we hope to receive every year, the 15,000. And we rely on Mimi to keep us on track with our finances. So Mimi, perhaps you can help us more properly articulate our status.
So for the 15,000, the state did open up applications about a month or so ago, which was basically applications just entailed filling out a form saying, yes, we want the money. So it's pretty straightforward. And it's kind of I thought they were going to change it, but it's the same kind of process as past years where basically all the districts are eligible. Typically how it goes is that this is when we say we're interested and that they issue the contracts around December. And then we don't really get the money until January, early February. And then again, the same process where we have to encumber it by the end of June and spend it by the end of December. Folks might have heard that the director of the Mass Cultural Council just resigned and is moving on. And
That's
we
too bad.
yeah,
He was
but
great. Yeah.
no. And as it is, there's been the group Civic Moxie has been doing a big project with the MCC to look at how they are funding the districts and how they're determining who the districts are. So there might be some changes with that kind of word on the street. I was speaking with Stuart Akeda, and actually Xana was at that meeting earlier today. And we're anticipating that there's probably going to be some requirements and kind of tightening up of like who gets to be a district. They might not be giving them out quite as easily as they were before, and are raising their expectations in terms of how it's embraced by the municipality. We don't think that that's an issue here in Concord. The fact that we're an official town committee, that we have like people like the select board taking part, and I as a staff person, but that's one thing that they're looking for is making sure that the towns are really embracing it and kind of seeing it as part of their overall strategy, and tightening up of like the metrics of sort of not just doing projects because like, oh, that's a fun thing, but really on how it's moving the needle for supporting arts and culture and the local business community at the same time. But that's all to TBD. They haven't released the study yet or what the new regulations might be.
So you will know in December whether the funding for this year is in jeopardy? Do you feel like by the end of the year we'll know?
Oh yeah, we definitely will.
Okay, good.
I'm anticipating that it probably won't be in jeopardy because I think the state is really looking at how this has been a driver for other sources of state revenue. That it has been contributing to meals taxes and occupancy taxes. It's really one of those catalyst projects, and it's very often directly supporting local artists and local economies.
Great. Thanks. Thank you, Mimi. Okay, so we don't have to worry for now.
For now.
Okay, so are there any questions that anybody has for me as far as, how I could better support you at the select board or anything going on in town that impacts you that you'd like to let me know about or?
No, I'd just like to say that Mimi is a wonderful resource for us. And I mean, she just is so very helpful.
We couldn't
Um,
function without her.
No, we
basically.
really couldn't. We really couldn't.
Okay.
And that's not just because you know how to turn on Zoom, Mimi.
Yeah.
We literally rely on her for everything.
Good.
I mean,
Good.
I have found it a little frustrating. Well, we all have, I think, that the DPW sometimes really holds us up and they're kind of hard to work with. But when we finally get it all settled, like when we were doing the signal boxes, painting the signal boxes, they were helpful. They put us through a lot of hoops over the decals on the sidewalk, but finally, let us do it.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to we'd like to put a sculpture in Junction Park, and that's taking a long time, but
Mm.
that's just part of Concord, I guess, that things just take a long time. So
Were
it's
any
a
of
little
you
frustrating since since we're trying to work within a year's budget and we have to spend that money in a
Yep.
year. We were thinking we could do the sculpture this year, but then now if we can't, we've got to find some other way to spend that money.
Right.
So they can really hold us up.
Yep. Yeah.
That's my
Um,
only concern.
Did anyone go to the forum we had? Oh God, it was last week it was a forum hosted by the select board with DPW and the Transportation Advisory Committee. And it was really an opportunity to find out, how do we know when we make a request to DPW, how do we know where is it in the queue? And, how soon are they going to get back to us? And that was one of the things we talked about. So, they're trying to start a system where you would, enter something and be able to get an update, online instead of, the phone calls and the phone tag. And so that might help. I don't know.
I think for a lot of the work that this group is doing is that they're very self-sufficient. So typically they're not putting any burdens on public works. Like typically they're not asking them to provide anything. Really it's just their review. I think one of the things that this group has been great is, and I've been working at how can we set up a relationship of trust so that they know that, and folks have been like doing their homework and making sure that there's precedent and that they're using good materials and have a good contract to ensure ongoing maintenance and things like that. And
Yes, I know. Yeah.
we've got some of that track record, and I'm hoping that can help us get things reviewed and approved in a quicker way.
Is this the commission, or is it the DPW staff?
So far, everything's gone through the staff.
Staff. Okay. Okay.
I guess we don't have any other requests or complaints, which is good.
That's good.
No news is good news.
Yes.
So thank you, Mary. And I think it's helpful for all of us to just put the face with the name and the activities and all those sorts of things, because when we do reach out, it's nicer to have some familiarity. So we thank you for your support and for advocating for the village on
Mhm.
things you're working
Yeah,
on.
and I'm always here. I mean, I know, Sue, if anybody, needs any help, you've got Mimi's, but if you needed to escalate something, I'm always available. It's up to
Wonderful.
you. So I'll just let you know that.
Great. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's see, moving down the agenda, I just thought it would be helpful for us to just do a quick debrief on the Discover West Concord Day. As all of you know, I wasn't there. I tried to orchestrate sort of a handoff, et cetera, of activities that day. And from all accounts, it was hugely successful, despite the fact that we were competing with the No Kings Rally and sports and all those sorts of things. Sue or Maureen or whoever, do you want to give a quick perspective from being feet on the ground?
Sure. Maureen, you want to talk
No, no,
first?
no, please go first, Sue. You did a great job in
Um,
educating our audience who stopped by, the
well,
folks.
we were on the green,
Mhm,
that green, by Neshoba Brook Bakery, and it was pretty crowded.
mhm.
So we were competing with people that were selling things, and there were dogs next to us and all that. So it was kind of hard to get people's attention, but we had a lot of people stop by. We tried that social media gimmick to get people to go to the poetry phone, and that didn't work too well.
I
There were a
think
lot of
we had
older people that said, I don't do social media and that kind of thing. But we got the word out about the poetry phone. We tried to do that. And we tried to let people know which projects in West Concord we had contributed to. People again, like, they were very excited about the art loop and the murals and that kind of thing. And we asked people, if you have any ideas about something you'd like to see in West Concord, let us know, that kind of thing. But it was a little hard to get attention being in that crowded space, but we did it. Um,
And then just a note on that, the crowded space, which I think, first of all, it's great that we finally have access to that green because that enabled us to invite more people. But
yeah,
I know myself, Sue Gladstone, some other people were proactively recruiting people who hadn't been participating in Discover West Concord Day for a while. So the dog thing that you were talking about, a little obstacle course. So they were drawing
yeah.
in the dance this way, the people we have never had any dance participation. And so they did a little bit. So it's just nice to see some different parts of the community come out. I
Oh
think all
yeah, that
this
was
just take
great.
a little recruiting, and so once they get in and the vibe was good, hopefully,
I
they'll
think
be.
a better place for us might have been the Chamber of Commerce had a tent at Reflections,
Hmm.
and they were the only ones there.
Hmm.
And they were doing the map and
Oh
that
yeah.
sort of thing.
Hmm.
So I think that might have been a good place for us because people were stopping by for the map, and then we could have said, and we're the West Concord Cultural Committee, and we've done all this.
Oh,
And
that's a good lesson learned. Okay,
yeah,
great.
I think that might have been a better place for us is to be with them.
Nice.
I
Um,
think there were a lot of, young families there too. And many of the other booths had activities for the little ones, whether it was face painting or they were giving out food. I mean, and I do think if we, especially because we were right beside the dogs, so, a lot of them wanted to do that. And throwing the cornhole, that was a huge success. If we wanted to get some of those families to talk to us, we probably needed a little something that would engage their kids because if not, they were running to the dogs and to the cornholes. And but I think they would have stopped for a few minutes if we had, I don't know, some face painting or something that we could have, kept their kids busy while we were talking to the adults a little bit.
Right, because we
yeah,
got a little bit like walk by,
Yeah,
yeah,
we did. They
really.
were just on to the next, whatever they could see,
yeah,
right?
And there were
yeah.
so many young families because I think in some ways maybe they didn't go to the No Kings rally. Yeah, because
Exactly.
I was at both. I was running between. I went both, and I just think that it was a competition in some ways, but there were plenty of people. And then, Friends of the Library had a book sale. I mean,
Mhm.
it was a busy
It was a
moment
busy
there.
day.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
but
and there's
we did
all
need
those.
something. I agree with you. We needed some. Cornhole was great.
Yeah,
That was good.
yep.
That was perfect. But you needed a little something, stickers, anything.
Right. Yeah. I think so.
Well,
We
in the
could have
past,
talked to the parents. Oh, I'm sorry, Sue.
yeah, I was just gonna say in the past we had always had an activity, but it just sort of snuck up on us and happened a little quickly, so we didn't get our act together. But
But
um,
I don't think in that environment, one of our activities of making things would have been useful
yeah,
because people were flitting, there was so much to see and there was so much going on. I don't think kids would have stopped to
Mhm.
do one of our little craft things at that point.
yeah.
Oh,
But one thing I wanted to just ask, you know, we don't, we're sort of a behind the scenes operation. Um, and I'm just curious what kinds of questions you were getting, like why would, what is it that we have to offer? I mean, we're not selling anything, we're not giving anything away, we're not organizing things, we're not trying to get a constituency. Um, I'm not really um,
I,
understanding
I think
what.
I had my elevator speech. So
Did.
people would stop and I would say, "Can I tell you about the West Concord Cultural District? We're funded by the MCC and we get money every year and we use the arts to bring people to West Concord and enhance West Concord." You know, I just gave the spiel and they went, "Oh, is that where the art loop came from?" And that kind of thing. So it was to make people aware that we are a committee and we're there. And I said, and if you, I had some people, one gal gave me a poster to put up on her kiosk. And then I said, well, if you're interested in the arts, I told her about Creative Ground, Mimi. Um, and then I said, you know, we'd love to, you can join this committee anytime. So I was just trying to, you know, in general, make people aware of who we are and what we do. And also saying, you know, if you have any ideas, let us know. So I thought that was helpful. People weren't really sure where all that stuff came from.
Yeah, definitely awareness and I love the idea of trying to gather ideas for them, and maybe that was something we could think about, like maybe we put a big bowl out there and put your idea in it, we get people to write it and then we gather it up,
Yeah.
because it did seem like most of the people who stopped had an interest that were in some way themselves an artist, right? They like to crochet, or they like to knit, or they like to draw, and they were sharing lots of stories about that with us. And I'm sure they'd have some ideas for the committee as well too, if we, give them an opportunity maybe to write it down or take a moment to think about it and made it an easy thing to do.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
But
Um,
Sue is great at making the pitch. If you need a pitch about this committee, she's nailed the elevator pitch.
well, one thing that we threw together at the very last minute was just like a one-page flyer. It was like a double-sided thing of just little descriptors of all the things that our committee does, which made me realize we don't have an official thing like that. So while that was thrown together, it served its purpose, but that might be something we would consider down the line, is to make it easier for people to understand what we contribute to the community and how that mutual benefit can happen. So
Yeah, everybody took the flyers. Like we ran out in a moment. Like they're like, "What do you do?" "Oh, okay, let me read about it." So I like that idea of having more.
good. Well, we'll make it look more official rather than something I threw together at the last minute. So. Well, thank you, all of you who contributed to that day, some behind the scenes and some feet on the ground. It was, sounds like a huge success. So well done. Yay. I also thought it'd be helpful in terms of activities that happened recently. A number of us sort of jumped in at the last minute. The MBTA organized I forget what they call them, adventure rides or something like that, but like with a week or so to go, we found out that they were having a bike trip up and down the Bruce Fruman Rail Trail. And wouldn't the West Concord Cultural District Committee like to be the welcoming committee? So we quickly scrambled, and once again, Sue Beck was there doing her fabulous pitch, and Chris Randall as well. It was a really great turnout. We heard that there was a total of about 75 people. I think we shared around the the photograph of, there's a bunch of people who one of the groups that took a big picture in front of the Bruce Fruman Rail Trail mural, which gave us a little bit of extra publicity there. But it was a really great day, and as long as they're planning to do it again next year, which they sort of said in the moment that they were going to do that, we'll have a more advanced notice and know what to expect. But I think it really showed, it was a gorgeous day. It showed West Concord really well. The businesses had last minute heads up, but at least they were prepared in case people came in. And I heard that some of the business owners, that people came in who had finished their ride early and were all excited about how well it went, and were populating some of the shops in town, which was great.
And we gave out a lot of brochures. That was,
Yes, another another handout of brochures. And Chris, Sue, anything else you wanted to add? Just, it was just a good energy day, I thought, even though we just were there briefly to greet them.
yeah, it was nice.
No, I think you got it.
Good. Let's see. So on to future activities. The holiday stroll is coming up December 13th. So I know we talked a little bit about that last meeting. I've been working with the West Concord business owners quite a bit, especially this last week, rather intensively, because we also were thinking about current events and wouldn't it be great to combine it with a food drive to contribute to Open Table. So we're probably going to accelerate that and continue to use the logo of We Shine Brighter Together. That's sort of become our new thing. Hopefully, you've seen the decals in all the store windows now, which is great. Um, but so we're trying to decide whether if it makes sense to wait until December to put up the food drive bins or just to start them early. But I will say that's in partnership with our committee. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. But I thought I'd also throw out thoughts on the holiday stroll. I have some ideas of things I've been working on behind the scenes, but wondered if any of you had specific ideas of things you'd like our committee to participate in.
Well, they've already got music, right?
There are carolers, yep, coming from the Concord Players. So that, and you've probably seen I don't know what you follow in social media, if anything, but the Grinch is planning to make a comeback. And I think the same actors who were Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus who had really nice costumes last year. So I think they're going to come back. So far as I know, that's who will be joining for roaming the streets. Jen Shinneman was not able to attend tonight, but she said that in front of the Guitar Museum, they're going to do their same nice light show. So that's what they're doing, and several of the businesses are planning specific activities, although it's not spelled out clearly yet. It's still 6 weeks to go, but I don't want to have us be caught like scrambling at the last minute since our next meeting won't be until like a week before the thing happens. So, since we're sort of using the theme of We Shine Brighter Together, I thought it'd be fun to sort of pick up on that Festival of Lights theme. So even though the time frame is 12 to 5 for the holiday stroll, it'll be light towards or dark towards the end of the day. So we thought it'd be fun to like light up one of the alleys, maybe the one between Eva's Little Kitchen and Deborah's. And I've contacted both of the owners there to see if they'd be willing to let us use their electrical outlets and buildings like the space between to set up just something kind of bright and fun. And maybe we would partner with Art for All or something to put an activity in that space just to make it fun and festive, to kind of mirror what Jen Shinneman's doing down at her end of the street. And if other businesses want to contribute. And Deborah's always has their menorah display. So we've got sort of inklings of things happening from that perspective. So thoughts on that? Would you be willing to, sort of participate in building a light tunnel? Something fun.
Sure, maybe we could like set up on the tables in between there, drawings to do, pictures of candles or something that's by Paul Revere's lantern, something that
Yeah.
has a little bit more light to it too.
Yeah, for sure. I can certainly coordinate with Margot. We also had reached out. We were wondering about including, sort of Hanukkah oriented celebrations. Didn't want it to be all like Christmas theme per se. Hanukkah is actually the next day. So I reached out to Karine Shalom, and they were very gracious and said, that timing doesn't really work out in that for their community so well. So they suggested that perhaps it wouldn't be the timing wasn't right for them to contribute this time, but they invited us all to their latke party on November 17th. I think it's like 5 to 6 at the Harvey Wheeler building. But they're very happy to have the connection with our committee now so that we can think about joint celebrations going forward when it makes sense. So if you guys are interested in like in terms of setting up some kind of, like light tunnel or whatever as part of our contribution to the day. It's really about shopping and things like that. I think it's less like the vibe that we got with Spring to West Concord Day. But I think Art for All was going to do hot chocolate and candy canes and maybe a lantern project or something. So maybe we can combine the two. And I don't want to speak for Margot. She's usually at these meetings, but she wasn't able to attend tonight. So, but I will continue to pursue that and let you know where we land. That probably will be via email just for some updates there. Is that okay, Mimi? Just to do continue like updates, not as long as it's not a voting type of thing, but it's just information that builds.
If it's just going one way from you to the committee,
Yeah, then that's okay.
and if it's like public information, that should be okay.
Okay.
You agree, Mary?
Yes.
Okay.
One thought is, Kim at Reflections, and we were just saying that would be a good place for, she's so interested in having anything happen there, and that's a good little place. It's right across the street from Deborah's, and, so we could think of that area if we wanted to have a table, just something. And she's,
Oh, that's a good idea too.
and
Yeah.
she's always just so happy to have the, exposure, but also just, she's such a community,
Yeah.
advocate. And, so just a thought to
Yeah.
get there,
Yeah.
just because it's a good spot. It was Sue's idea, and next time for West Concord Day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
So I'm
And,
not sure, you're just envisioning we hang up a bunch of lights? That's kind of what we're talking about?
Yeah, because people use that as a pass through or whatever. And if we partner with Margot and she wants to set up an activity there, or they're serving hot chocolate and candy canes, which is what they're thinking of doing. So,
But I also think it's an opportunity to do what we were just talking about, which is, inviting people to share ideas for, what they'd like to
sure.
see happen. So to have not only an activity, but figure out a way to, make people aware of our presence, our committee,
Yeah.
and I thought that idea of inviting people to write down ideas would be a great one. So whatever it is, it would be nice to add that dimension to whatever it is that we create or wherever we set up shop.
Sure. Yeah, we have that nice banner that we hardly ever get to use. We use the lawn signs a lot, but the banner might be nice up there too. So for sure. But yeah, I do love Maureen's idea about the idea bowl. Give a big prize for all the ideas that get implemented.
We could do that. We still have it left over from the social media that nobody,
Oh
so we
yeah.
can use the $25 on this one.
Yeah. Good point.
So
Okay.
Margot will probably have them making something. Because I always kind of liked when they had them make something that they could keep. We did the bell thing and
Right. Yeah. We could distribute the
seem to
bells
like
again
that a
too.
lot.
That's a super simple thing that people really love. And I do like that message of make a joyful noise, like when you're walking down the street.
Yeah.
So we could easily do the jingle bells on, because I already have that whole thing all nailed down if we want to do that. So
Didn't we
kinda
do
like that.
that
That was
together,
fun.
Sue? Didn't we do a bunch
yeah,
of things? That
yeah,
was, we were very popular that day.
yeah,
Yeah, that was really popular and it was easy and it gave people something to take away to remember us
Oh,
by.
they were so excited. It was a good one.
Yeah, I liked that one
That's
a
a good
lot.
idea of yours. I just was helper, but
helpers are important.
Okay, but we do need
Us.
helpers who are going to show up and be there because if
right.
it hadn't been for Maureen and her partner, I would have been pretty much on my own most of Discover West Concord Day.
We
And
had
I'm
such
an
a
old
good
lady and
time.
I got tired. So,
Heads for chairs.
so if we're going to do an activity, we really have to make sure people agree to come and come when they're supposed to.
Yeah. But when we did the holiday one, it was very popular. We were right in,
It was, I remember. Yeah, it was great.
it was really good.
Okay.
And it gives people something to do.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, I will replicate that because that's super simple. But that can be in addition to every year we'll just add another layer, right?
I feel like we should build on the light theme. Like I like the light It just has such a positive connotation to it.
Does. It
Mhm.
does.
So maybe Margot can help us. I don't know. I assume we can't actually have candles or anything with a fire, but maybe something like a tea light,
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. All
the
those
tea,
things.
that are just electric.
Yeah, it makes some pretty good, um, authentic looking things that aren't real flames.
Exactly.
It'd be great to have a bonfire in there. Set up my solo stove.
It does keep you warm while you're out there.
Oh, all right, good. Well, thank you for all those ideas, and I will keep you posted on what we hear from Eva's Little Kitchen and Adam if we are able to set up our little fun light tunnel. But if not, it at a minimum we can do the jingle bells again. That's very easy. I'll order the stuff and I'll put together a schedule, a shift schedule, and hopefully it will be well complied with this time. So.
Yeah.
Okay, next here, let's see, the signage for the kiosk and maintaining. So that's probably Chris, you want to talk a little bit about the kiosk and I know you want to do some upgrades to it and Sue, you have some observations about the kiosk as well.
Yeah, let's see. I think the kiosk is working well, and it's working so well that Sue made a great suggestion a week or two ago when I saw her about um, creating more room by um, making the brochure um, map that's now up there smaller, a smaller version of that, and um, I think at the time, it seemed to make sense to go, the 35 inches, basically 3 foot by 2 foot. But, you know, I think a smaller map would suffice and help people feel oriented about, where they are in West Concord and what they might explore if they were to leave the rail trail. And so I went over to Concord Printing and asked how much it would cost to do a smaller sign, and the answer is basically $84. Um, the sign itself isn't 84, but there's a setup charge and tax, and although we probably could get out of the tax, but the setup charge and some other charge. So the total for you know, a smaller sign was 84. So one of the things I wanted to ask is what people thought about that idea and whether the committee would be willing to spend $84 to have me go ahead, and it would basically be the same sign, um, and the $84 covers a wide variety of sizes. In other words, they have sort of an infinite ability to kind of change the size as long as it fits on their roll. And so one of the steps I would have to take is to, to decide how small we could go. But nevertheless, the price would remain the same. So that's one thing there. Um, and I don't know, why don't we just take that up and see how we feel, and then there's one or two other things I can mention.
You think just laminating the brochure itself would be too small?
Interesting. Um, you know, that might be worth a try.
Because I took a picture of what it looks like now, and I don't know how to share that with you, but it's full. And one thing I think we should do is take this. We have a thing saying that this is for local arts brought to you by our committee. I think that should be a at the top, so because people aren't paying attention to that. Um, but I think I don't know. I think if we just opened up the brochure and laminated that,
That's a
I,
great idea.
people
Why
would
don't
be
we
able to
start?
read it.
Why don't we start with that?
I'd like to
Let's
start with that, I think.
And Anne has a laminating machine, so we're all
She
set.
does.
Done. Okay.
Of course
So
she
the next,
does.
Well,
But the other thing we talked about was putting the cork on a separate piece of wood and putting that up there so the cork isn't so bubbly. What about
yeah,
that idea?
I mean, I can try and secure it a little more. I mean, the bubbly aesthetically isn't great, but functionally it seems to work just fine. Um, so are you saying that functionally it is not
It,
sufficient?
it's sometimes a little hard to get things to stay on there because you're trying to make it look neat and there's this big bubble and it's hard to get the pins to stay in and I just think it would be more effective if we didn't have that problem.
Okay.
But we
Well,
can wait till this cork wears out or something, I suppose.
I think it's going to be there for a while because the roof
Mm.
protects it so well. Um, but it's probably a pretty easy thing to do. Um,
or that might
but
be something that
but I think
either,
there's bigger. I mean, I don't know where that is on the priority list, but one thing I do notice is the presence of our committee is rather scattered. I mean, there's a Bruce Freeman Rail Trail a map. There's our brochure. There's the statement about that it's for the arts. I think maybe with a piece of black tape we can make a little rectangle corner and designate like an official, a place, a home for all our official um, kind of drawings and leave the rest for posting. So one thing I was going to do is just try and consolidate those things so that there is a coherent statement so people can more quickly kind of understand what it is because right now I don't think it's working for me anyway. I don't
Yeah,
think.
I was going to move some, but they were stapled, so I didn't try to fuss with that.
But that
So
also,
my other question for the kiosk is we kind of have to decide what we're going to take down
well,
because
let
people
me
put things
talk
up
about the
there.
banner first. Let
Well,
just
I mean, I'm just saying what
organizationally.
people stick up there. So, like we said for the arts, but there was stuff there for the umbrella, which is not in West Concord, but I left it up there anyway because there was room for it. Okay. There was uh, people put stuff up there for a lost dog. And you feel really bad for taking down a thing about a lost dog, but that's not what we wanted the kiosk to be for. There's one from a kid, a middle schooler who has a project about penguins. And I thought, oh, this is really sweet. So I just put it up at the top there and I just left it as so in the top corner. But
Well,
but
Sue,
you know,
one
how
thing.
how strict do we want to be about this? So um that was my question.
Well, I think it's a good question, and I think it pro gets to again the question of is the purpose clear? And I don't think it is clear enough anyway.
Well,
And
yeah, that's true.
we um, talked about putting a more sizable banner across the top that really kind of um, would grab attention and say something. Um, and we went a little around and around about wording. Um, and so my thought is to, you know, um, I think it says, I mean, it could be, I don't know if we can come up with things right now or brainstorm some or go back to that list. I think we approved one um, title, for the West Concord Arts, something. Um, but I was thinking with a better banner at the top and a more consolidated, clear um, section for our organizational kind of things, it might become clearer to people, you know, what should go there and why things are coming down if they don't, fit. Um,
Right, that's what we need.
so let's see. The uh, our banner idea stalled because Anne's Canva program couldn't get something bigger than I think 18-inch paper. But at Concord Printing, they can print a banner of any size on vinyl, and it'll last for years, and you look kind of official if we wanted to go that route. And it could fit up there at the top, and that's about $25. Um, is that something, once we get the wording we like, I think that's a good way to go. And it because it looks so official, it's printed, and
Yeah, I think that's worth doing if we're really serious about this kiosk.
it grabs attention.
Yeah.
And it sounds
And I
durable.
like the idea. I mean,
And
we've
Chris
got a
said,
lot of West Concord activities on there. There's one with Native American flute lessons from the music school. There's a gal who's had the guitar museum. She's having an art show at the guitar museum.
Mhm.
So, we've got, real things up there.
Yeah. Chris, I think we did decide on some wording, I want to say in our like June meeting or something. It seemed like we had decided on some wording, but I would agree that it's worth having something, an official banner to be made, a professional thing versus like doing our homegrown stuff. And I had a question, Mimi, for you in terms of, because I know you want to take a vote on potentially spending money on something on the kiosk. Mimi and Mock had suggested, and I'm sort of jumping ahead a little bit on the agenda, but there was $200 set aside in this year's budget for the Art Loop celebration, which we never had because of weather confronting us. And she wondered if that money could be spent on other things, like could it be spent on this banner? Could it be spent on her advertising for Art Loop Phase 2?
Let me just look up on who it was procured to, because it would be assigned to a certain PO. So let me just look that up.
Oh, okay. Well, a celebration would be, it was probably just like Concord tea cakes and because I think it was just like food.
I don't see we have an open PO. I think it would have been to Anne. So we'd have to have it procured as of last year. If it's small money like that, I have a little mad money for arts and culture. So I can fund that kind of thing. So don't be slowed down for small fry like that. I can help you out.
All right.
Good.
Then can I make a motion that the committee approve the expenditure of $25 or so for a banner for the kiosk? Any second?
Second.
Mhm. I have to go around person by person.
Oh, sorry. I
Sue,
forgot.
I'm
It's
just gonna
Zoom.
go around the clock. Sue Gladstone,
Mhm.
I
Sue Beck,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and Maureen.
Aye.
Okay.
Did
Approved.
someone second that motion? I didn't hear who seconded.
Oh, I
Uh,
thought I did, but then I thought
Maureen?
on
Okay.
Zoom, it wasn't the right thing to do it that way.
No, you were good. I just talked over you. I empathize with Sue Beck trying to keep it all. It's hard. All right.
Okay, that's
Um,
great.
Good. Is that good on, are we good on kiosk?
Yeah,
Okay.
and Sue, I'll follow up on your idea of getting a piece of plywood, and at the next meeting, I'll tell you what it costs. Unless somebody has a sheet of plywood in their backyard, sometimes they build up, and that would be perfect. Does anyone have a spare sheet of plywood around?
Do you remember what the dimensions are? Because Art for All or Billy Crosby often have pieces of plywood.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but
Mm. Okay.
I know it's smaller than a 4x8 sheet because that's what the cork board was, and I had to cut that down.
Okay. All right.
Well, good. I'll go ahead. I'll find that email you're talking about, Sue, and circulate it around. Just maybe just to confirm that that wording is still what we want. And once I get the okay, I'll go to Concord Printing and get it uh, printed out.
Great, thank you.
Great. Okay, and can you get a brochure to Anne for lamination?
Yeah, I'll do that too.
Okay, thanks.
And then I'll do a little rearranging once I take down the big brochure, which actually may be really handy at some of our events.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah,
throw
we can definitely keep it.
All righty. So next up, Chris, you're on again for the West Concord page on the Visitor Center website. I put a link in the agenda, so hopefully people had a chance to look at that. So take it away, Chris.
Sure. So I'll just start big picture because the West Concord page. So maybe I should back up. There are two pages that direct people to information about West Concord. One is our committee page that is on the town website, and that's something that Mimi is working on, and she and I worked over the summer to, you know, fix up different pieces of that. And I think, if I understand right, Mimi, some of the remaining pieces that we talked about updating on the town website are in the queue for the town web developer. And, I think, that process is moving along. And, when that person has the bandwidth, the rest of those changes we talked about will be implemented. Is that right?
Yeah, the town communications manager is sort of updating the town website with, some better fonts and colors and things like that as part of like a refresh. I think it's kind of on the back burner. The community development office just kind of renamed and reconfigured, so they kind of got in the front of the queue. We've got kind of a weird coding issue. Whoever set up our page initially, it does these weird things that no other page does. So we kind of need to just start from scratch. But it kind of keeps getting pushed to the back burner. It's working fine, but it might be good to kind of think a little bit about maybe we can highlight the projects in a better way and nicer, because this committee actually does stuff as opposed to the other ones that just like issue a report or things like that. And we might be able to take a different approach.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about a lot of that, and I left the conversation feeling like the town website is, well in hand between you and, the things that, that once that sidebar gets cleaned up, it will serve the purpose that you're talking about, which is to talk about the kinds of things we do, Porch Fest um, and the like. So really, by putting the website on the agenda, what I'm really focused on is the visitor center page about West Concord. And I don't know the origin of what's there, but it really does not serve our committee's mandate. It, um, it there was just a lot of information that was kind of dumped there, and it's not of particular interest, I think, to um, people who are interested in West Concord. For instance, one is just the annual reports up through 2019, when it ends, of all the things we did. So it's a tedious and long text-heavy page that just talks about what the committee did. And then it ends 6 years ago. So, okay, that's a dead site. Then there's um, another one that just it's um, it just lists that our committee exists. It just says, it defines the cultural committee. So again, that's not of interest to, economic vitality, just announcing that we exist. And then the third tab is a history of West Concord, which is kind of like a Wikipedia um, detailed, lengthy history. Very interesting, but again, it's just not designed with visitors in mind. It's a research piece that got posted there. So I imagine that in the early days of the website, people were just looking for some filler text, and we're still living with that filler text. And my feeling is that that page could be easily improved, keeping the structure. We don't even need to really change all that much. We just need to change some titles of the tabs and repopulate them with other text. Um, the one wonderful thing that is on the website is our video, and that kind of says it all anyway. So if people don't ever go beyond that, um, I think they still get a lot. But the reason I asked Sue to put it on the um, agenda is this is something that, I think is an opportunity, but I've never really gotten a sense of how the committee as a whole feels in terms of having a united voice about this is something that needs to be changed or should be a higher priority. I mean, we've been living with this, since the inception of that web page. And I'm just saying it could, serve visitors better. It could celebrate West Concord better, and it could be easily better organized um, to accomplish that purpose. But I think we need to, if we want to go that direction, I think we need to speak with a unified voice because the people who make web changes are really busy and they everyone wants a piece of their time, and I I'm really not even sure how the next step might be to meet with Beth Williams and hear from her, but I wanted to get a sense of how the committee felt about things.
Mimi, did you have something you wanted to comment on?
So I have got the power to change out the text and the kind of content. I can't do like fancy changing the structure. So it's like if you look at the website, there's the video and then the paragraphs of text underneath. I could change all that text if folks want. I can change out, you basically have to keep the three elements, but I can change out what those pictures are and the elements underneath them are. So I've got some flexibility. I just can't do any fancy formatting. So if there's some content folks want to change, we're all game. I think Beth is kind of concrete. If she wants this page, it needs to be focused to kind of tourists. It's not the kind of casual. So I know sometimes we've cared a lot about being complete and like including every business in West Concord, and that ends up becoming so cluttered. It doesn't cater to the needs of like casual visitors. So that's kind of one thing. And just to temper expectations, that this section of the Visit Concord website does not get a lot of foot traffic.
I was just going to ask you if you had any metrics. Yeah.
I went and met with Beth. It's like down at like, it was so low we couldn't even get to it didn't show up.
Yeah.
So I in terms of like investing a lot of energy, yeah, I think if we've got maybe 10 readers to this page that are coming to it. So it would be nice to kind of update it and be a little more relevant, but it's probably not worth kind of sweating it too much, rather as opposed to some of the other activities that you all are doing.
So if we were to just say, when we're promoting stuff on our own if it were social, say we had a, Instagram site or whatever, and we're hashtagging blah, 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 and we sent people there is our audience divided between going to just West Concord and then the visitors center page, or do you know what I'm saying? It's like why maintain two?
So this is really just to introduce people to the West Concord neighborhood. You know, there's like, you know, it's highlighting, we kind of have like a little neighborhood section in the Visit Concord
Yeah.
But
website.
I think, Sue, if I understand your question, the reason there are two is that each committee needs to have its a presence on the town website. And so the 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 town website is that's the one that Mimi and I were working on over the summer. In addition, there's the visitor center website, which is separate
Got it.
and so that's the second one, and my comments were really directed toward that. And Mimi, I just learned something from what you just said. I didn't realize you had the ability to change text on the visitor center site as well. I was under the impression it was only on the town site. And that really makes it quite simple because I think we can keep with the same structure and just substitute a few things. And, you know, when those 10 people come, they're going to be so happy.
Yeah.
And you're going to be one of them.
Me and my family. Woo, boy.
I think for me, the biggest issue was getting the video on there, but also just it was hard to find West Concord anywhere. It's a little bit easier now to click on West Concord, but it was kind of hidden under, I guess, was it under neighborhoods or something? I mean,
Under
you
neighborhoods,
didn't even
yeah.
know where it was. I mean, I'm more concerned about the fact that I don't think the visitor center directs people to West Concord at all. And when it was the 250th. When I was in Concord Center for the 250th and it was so crowded and people, said, where can we eat and all that. I said to some people, there's some really good places to eat in West Concord. And, oh, really? They were like, oh. And I think we should concentrate more on that if we want to bring people to West Concord, is getting them directed from Concord Center so that people know there's a whole nother part of Concord for them to go and look at.
Actually, I was at the visitor center a couple weeks ago, just waiting my turn to pick up some signs from them. And the person that was working there that day did a fantastic job talking about West Concord. So probably
Really?
depends on who's there. Yeah. Anyway, but it's a good thought.
But Mary, that is a something just to tuck under your hat. It it uh, there's no easy answer because Concord Center just is such a natural draw for visitors, and I think you get over 1 million in a year. It's 1 million people coming, and it begs the question: how can we tap into some of that? And as again, it's not an easy answer, but that is, you know, from the selectmen's point of view, just a question to keep, thinking about. And there may be some things that, come across your desk that you can throw to us and we can run with it.
Chris, let me just say that I do agree that we could be doing a better job of promoting West Concord and directing, especially tourists, to West Concord. I was listening to your comments about the town website, and the purpose of the town website is really a reporting out to the community. It's governance, it's complying with open meeting law. It's not a promotional channel. So, I would really discourage you from spending a whole bunch of energy trying to get, Mimi might disagree, but, I find that hard to navigate, and the purpose of it is certainly not promotional. But getting something, I see on the agenda you have a collaboration with the Concord Cultural Council. I mean, that might be one way to get the visitor center focused, not focused, but more inclusive of West Concord and not just concentrating on Concord Center, even though I have to admit, most tourists that come to town are interested in the, the national monuments, the monuments that appeal to, nationally, internationally. But I really do. I understand your point. I mean, I'm just learning a lot tonight listening to you about what you're doing and what you offer. So I can do some promotion when I'm talking. But I think it's the visitor center that you'd need to go through. That's my thinking. What do you think, Mimi?
I think the visitor center is very kind of tourist oriented.
Right.
Like,
Isn't
I
that what
think
you want?
the town's communications office, they've got like a bunch of channels, like the social media that the town puts out, the kind of community, what is it called? Community currents that Dawn has been producing. And I think that it is a little tricky for this committee. So for example, like with the Discover West Concord Day, there's like existing channels in the neighborhood that are putting the word out through the businesses, and leveraging that, I think, is really helpful. There are some things that are kind of fallen through the cracks a little bit, of like, Porch Fest has got its own page and information. The Poetry Phone, to be able to explain to people what that was about. Felt like we needed like a project page. So that's one of the things I've been sort of talking to Dawn up with the communications office, is like having some of these like project types of things. So for example, the Freedom Silhouette that I did, people want to have some information about it, and we don't want to create like a standalone website. We want a place for people to know about these projects. And it isn't quite, it is more of like a reference rather than like a promotional kind of thing.
Yeah, it's more reporting or informing, but it doesn't have the promotional bent to it, which I
Yeah.
think it's from I'm listening, I'm hearing that I think you want some way to using the town's assets to promote West Concord. Is right? Is that
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think
you've got
there's
your word of mouth and your own channels, but what does the town have at its disposal to help send people to West Concord?
Mhm.
and I think there's an opportunity with the MCI Concord development, and I haven't really been part of any of those discussions, but um, what works so well in Concord Center is that there are focal points and things like you said, Mary, that draw people to it. And
Mhm.
West Concord, because it has a more of a mill and industrial and a 19th century
Yep.
heyday, doesn't have the glamorous things that attract people. Now,
Mhm.
if you in the MCI Concord put a wonderful park or a piece of amazing sculpture, that people would all of a sudden say, "Oh, I want to go over to West Concord and see fill in the blank, whatever it is."
Mhm.
And I hope that there is um, some kind of public you know, art or something that would function along the lines of something that would attract people and
Draw.
pull
Mhm.
them over because just coming to see, a nice, village and a shopping, a good vibe, um, it hasn't really worked terribly well. And, uh, you know, I keep thinking MCI Concord might be a, a place or time to do something splashy. It doesn't have to be big, but something really interesting. A fountain, or I don't know. But I'll stop there. I don't have a great
Well,
idea.
one of the big advantages to MCI is it's going to bring a lot of residents that are going to be a lot closer to West Concord and looking for services from West Concord. So I wouldn't underestimate that. The state is very interested in housing, so we're going to have more people. You
Have to be careful what we wish for, right?
we do need. Well, this is my
Yes,
editorial. We do need housing.
for
Um,
sure, for sure.
and the advantage of that is that we have more people willing to, spend money.
Mhm.
So, and that's what we're all about. We're all about keeping the villages vital. So it should work nicely. As far as what we do with MCI as, maybe some special draw there, like a sculpture. I'll, I'll advocate now for, I've always been a big proponent of converting the warden's, but the superintendent's building, that beautiful historic building that sits right on Route 2 into a hotel, which I thought would be a good attraction, but I don't know. There are going to be forums and that about MCI, and we have to, we have to be realistic, but we also want to hear from people. So that would be an opportunity for you, Chris, to, kind of voice some of your ideas.
So Mary, when I see the big billboard that goes up that says, "Come sleep at the prison," I'll think of you.
Right, right. Well, you've heard of the Liberty House, right? In
The
Boston?
Liberty.
The Liberty, yeah,
It's
the Liberty, the
fantastic.
Liberty. There you go. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it
And it
is a
really is a
great place.
draw. It really
Yeah.
is a draw.
People pay premium just to stay in those jail cells.
Yes. But whether
Incredible.
that's going to become a reality, this is years down the road as far as it. But I think I hear you saying that you want to be able to draw more people to West Concord. And again, I guess and I repeat what you say, be careful what you wish for. But MCI will bring some people and maybe doing better marketing.
Mm, yeah. Well, thank you, Mary. That was a good discussion.
Let me, Sue, let me just offer to work with Mimi and take a pass at the Visitor Center West Concord page and then report back to the group.
Sure, and I'm happy to help with that too. So I'll throw my hat in the ring.
Does that sound okay, Mimi?
Yeah,
Yep, sounds great.
those 10 eyeballs, we want them to be reading accurate stuff. Okay, actually for the Concord Cultural Council and Cultural District, I'm gonna include Xana in this because I know you also had something related that you wanted to speak to. Since you're here and you've been so patient for over an hour, I will let you address that topic.
Oh, just the recap of
Yeah.
what we all, um, yes, well, first of all, I wanted to say, Chris, I do empathize with that issue. And, it's so difficult because both sides think like, oh, West Concord has it all going on. They get all the contemporary stuff. We got nothing. And then you think West Concord's like, they got all the visitors and all the people. It's always the grass is greener, right? And, really be careful what you wish for. Do you want busloads of people, or what is your measure of success for a cultural district? And I think part of downtown Concord Center is that, so many of the attractions are outside the center, and those are pilgrimages people take. So they come from all over the world to go to the Louisa May Alcott House. And Beth has done an amazing job of pulling people back into the center. And, you go to the Alcott House, but you just try to have, lunch in downtown. But sometimes they were just, in and out. So it's an ongoing issue to really try to figure out how to then maybe have that spill over into West Concord. But the bike thing, I mean, she shared that with me, and I thought that was great. It's a great idea. So in that regard, I'm working with the Concord Cultural District to work on how to get them restarted. It's a whole new group of people, so it's sort of starting anew. And we had a meeting, which ironically, most of you from West Concord showed up. And it was just basically for them to share what they have been working on, that the uh, vision and the mission statement that's just working, this draft that they put together. And just working through the process of trying to be a cohesive group and learn how to manage and administer to a cultural district. And I know a lot of them know your work, and they admire it and they want to do it, but we're still at that very beginning process. Like, how do we build the partnerships and what does that look like? And the final session is going to be about metrics and okay, so once you have something, how do you measure your success and what does your governance look like? Because they're unique from you in that they're a cultural council that's taken over the cultural district. And that gets really confusing. And right now they're also in the middle of their grant process too. So they've had their candle burning at both ends, in the last couple of months. But for the most part, I think it's an ongoing thing. I'm just setting them up with 4 different lessons and then a strategy plan. And I think that it's going to be an ongoing process in terms of community engagement, opening it up, asking people what they want to, what do you want to happen in your cultural district? I mean, Sue, that's an excellent idea of gathering the ideas. When you have a booth, you want to get input, you want to tell people what you do. And the third thing I would say, you start a mailing list, like ask people to sign up. Are you interested in volunteering? Are you, for um, Mimi's, economic development newsletter, something that you can get from them, and because they're obviously stopping by, they're interested. Um, so yeah, it's always an outreach. It's always the process of iteration, finding out what your cultural districts want to do, fostering those partnerships, and what the capacity of your own group too is, because you're all volunteers. And so we were talking about that this morning, that really the makeup of the group, then you figure out what's its capacity and what are because they need to succeed. It's not very interesting if it's all boring paperwork. So we had a brainstorming exercise. We did it once with a group and then once with this larger group. And that's, it in some ways, people that are thinking about it the most have the most ideas, but you also want to capture the spontaneity of the public and individual artists that want to come to you, to your group, and want to do something. You want to have the ability to accommodate that as well as like a nonprofit or like the
Hannah, are you able to share? That was like a really phenomenal list, the brainstorming list that I thought the group came up with. Are you at liberty to share that with this district, our cultural district?
yeah, what I'm doing is I put those all into a spreadsheet, and I'm still trying to figure out how I want to present that information,
Okay.
because we're trying to look at priorities and goals out of that. But I will put it in my final report, and you guys are definitely,
Yeah.
yes,
Because I liked some of the ideas we're trying to bridge. I know we need to keep our cultural districts separate because they're separate districts, but there was some really nice bridging ideas I thought that were happening there too, which I think is great.
yeah, I think there's definitely opportunities to partnership.
Hmm.
Obviously you don't want to give financing to the other group, and that's against your charter, but there's definitely opportunities in which to
Hmm.
partner, and I think that's a stronger Concord, definitely.
Great. Well, thank you for that update, Xana, and for the work that you're doing with them and for keeping us in the loop. Appreciate it.
In the art loop.
In the art loop,
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of the art loop, it's not on the agenda, but I will replace Margot's murals update since she wasn't here. And I'll just let you know that the farm mural update that we had allocated money to for preservation, that got its protective coating on it. I think it was right after our last meeting. So that's done, check. And the next thing that she's planning is something that she can talk about next meeting because it'll probably be formed a little bit better in her brain by then. So I did want to just pass along some information from Ann Mock about, we'd done some brainstorming in our last meeting about 2026 projects, and she had volunteered to do phase 2 of the art loop if we were interested. And was questioning whether or not we got the MCC grant money, which I'm assuming from Mimi's comments that we will, but she wanted to allocate some of that money for the celebration to be able to create lawn signs for a call for art and putting it up in public spaces in addition to all the other ways that she advertised last time. So I don't know if people had thoughts on that, and if we think lawn signs is the right way to go, then take a vote on spending that money if we're able to. Mimi.
We can't spend the money until we actually get it at least contracted. So
Okay.
that's not going to be till later. Do you need the something sooner than February?
I don't think we can even apply it. I mean, I don't know how long it takes to collect art and whatever, because I wasn't involved in the machinations of behind the scenes last year. So maybe we can just wait until the December meeting and we can talk about it then. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so is this for like a second round of the
Yeah, after we take the current decals off.
So we would want to kind of do our process that we've done with the select board, is like get their provisional approval, then
Okay.
do the call for art. So we should do that first. We can go forward with that before we have the funding ratified, because there's multiple steps along the way.
Yeah.
And actually, engage the art, like kind of do the next step until we have the funding in
Yeah.
hand. We should do those steps first.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'll just let her know that at least we touched on it briefly. Okay, I'm sorry it's running so late. Is there anyone who had additional things that weren't on the agenda that you'd like to toss in before we talk about our next meeting? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
One
Yeah.
little thing to chime in with me, folks know I'm working on that signage for the the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail.
Yeah.
This is the dangers of delaying doing a project. The cost of the signs has gone up 80%. So it was if I had used the old budget, it would have cost, the 8 signs would have cost 17,000. And I thought, oh, with some inflation, I'll budget 25,000. The quote came in at over 40.
Oh my God.
So I'm now trying to find some other contractors, and so that might all get revisited altogether. But as part of that, I put in a proposal to the town manager to do a whole bunch of stuff along the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail for next year. So basically, folks probably know the ARPA funding is kind of winding down, and that funding needs to get spent by the end of next year. And all of that has been assigned to different departments around town. So I'm kind of playing the please girl, sir, can I have your crumbs left over? So if people have come up with little dribs and drabs of money, I'm made a pitch to the town manager of like, this is what I could do with it. And basically I gave her a proposal with a bunch of drop dead dates of like, okay, I need to know by this to be able to make this project happen. So one of them is basically to do a couple things on the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. One, to give me enough money to finish the wayfinding signs that we want to do. Another one is to do a mural under the Powder Mill Road tunnel there that keeps getting a lot of graffiti. So doing public art often is a good graffiti prevention thing. So the idea is to kind of do a call for art and have that painted. And another one is to do basically a giant Bruce Freeman Rail Trail party. They had done this on the Minuteman Bike Trail, where it's basically every quarter mile, there's a little node of activities. And so when the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail had opened, it kind of opened with like, because everybody was like so tired and they're like, has it opened already? And I feel even just talking to the friends, they're sort of like, they never got a chance to really celebrate. So I've been sort of reaching out to folks and sort of saying, could we do like a giant, like 6-hour, and maybe have like a giant bike thing of go all the way from Lowell down to Sudbury, because Sudbury is doing a whole bunch of like promoting their connection to the what's it called, the Mass Central Rail Trail. And it could be a way of like highlighting how it's connected to this path and that and really my goal is, how can we make West Concord Village be the center of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail? And highlight it not only as a place for recreation, but also like shopping and for transportation to like get around. So I should know, it's I'm hoping it will come along, but that's sort of the twinkle in my eye that I'm trying to gather some resources for.
Love it. Sounds exciting.
Mimi, what's your timeline on that for a party for the event?
So some people are pushing to have it for June. I'm like, I don't even have a penny yet. But most likely it's going to be looking to September or October of next year. I've got a meeting actually with the MBTA people who did the train. I've got a meeting with them tomorrow and saying like, okay, let's partner. Like, can we make it like multiple trains and not just be one car, but like really promote it as a place of like connecting the commuter rail coming to West Concord, kind of way of exploring the whole region.
Yeah, my thought was a Halloween ride, like because it's the fall colors and then just the spectacle of it would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think that's why the MBTA did their ride, last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice.
But so I've been collecting other ways of gathering funding for the project too. So if folks along their travel sort of see some ways to make this happen, send it my way.
Okay, well, thank you all for vibrant meeting. Let's talk about our next meeting. It's December 2nd, first Tuesday of the month. And do we have a preference as to whether that's Zoom or in person?
Well, Zooms are convenient for me, certainly. Um,
In case folks care, I see that Oars is doing an event at the Neshoba Brook Bakery that night. So if we did something in person, that would mean that people could go to that event and then head over to meet in person.
Ooh, that's a great idea. What are they doing there?
They're doing like it's kind of like a meet and greet kind of thing.
Oh,
And just sort of highlighting of their work on the waterways
be
and
nice to
kind
support
of with
them.
West Concord.
Yeah. Okay.
It's 5 to
Okay. Yes, 5 to 7.
5
Yeah.
to 7.
Oh, good.
So what do people feel like if you're out and about? Would you rather go home or would you rather meet in person since you're already out?
Either works.
Hey, Sue, you're on mute. I think you were trying to say something. Sue Beck, you're still on mute.
All right. I think it's really up to Chris and Ann because if they can't make the meeting, if we have it in person, then that's really not fair to them.
Okay, so let's call it a Zoom. And then maybe in January we can do an in-person, but certainly those of us who can easily go to the Oars thing and then trolley home, then we can jump on our Zoom call. Sound good? All
Thank
right.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I motion to close the meeting, 8:31. I'll go around the clock again. Sue Gladstone,
I second it and yay.
Sue Beck,
A
Chris,
Yeah.
and Maureen.
Yes.